broadcast of the Living Life on Purpose show. Each week we will feature individuals who are making an impact in their area of expertise and hot topics that affect our community. Now for your hostess, Sandy D. Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandy D. Johnson. I am the hostess of the Living Life on Purpose show. And today we have some really good treats in store for you. Our first guest has a company where she goes around and empowers young people and adults. We're going to bring her on. Hello, welcome, Keisha.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. So we're going to jump right in and have us tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing. And the name of your business is Birth for Your Greatness. Tell us a little bit about how that was birthed.
So this was birth. Well, the name came up because growing up, I didn't realize that I had greatness on the inside of me. I was raised under the tutelage of children should be seen and not heard, and I was taught by my parents that there's no way, quote, there's no way that you should go to school every day and not bring anything home less than a B. So I didn't realize that I had greatness on the inside of me. And once I got to around, I would say about 38, was when I started realizing that I had greatness on the inside of me. So Free Your Greatness came about by me wanting to give to children what I wish that I had when I was a child. Because if you can teach a child that he or she is powerful enough to create his or her dreams at the earliest age possible, just realize what they will really be able to create in this world. So that's where that came from.
So you connected your story, how from what you were told and experienced,
yes,
how it made you more passionate about helping young people, and you help adults too. Tell us a little bit about how you serve adults with your business.
So the way that I serve adults is if there are some adults that feel like that they have a dream on the inside of them and they are looking for the steps to help them to free their greatness, then I offer one-on-one coaching and just talk to them, helping them to realize what it is that they want to do, and then giving them steps based upon the things that I've done to be able to get my dreams accomplished out there.
Could you share with us just briefly some of the steps you've taken to keep your dreams on track?
So I am very, very, very big into motivation. And so I don't know if I can turn it around here. I have these quotes all over my desk. Different quotes. This has got torn up a little bit right here. But I've got these quotes all over, things that I even make for children. And all the kids are into Among Us. So putting these affirmations on the Among Us, different things like this. And I've got one here for, mermaids in different colors. But first thing that I did was just starting to work on myself and starting to build up my belief within myself. Part of my morning routine is I get up, and I even have affirmations and different positive sayings on my wall. So I look at those. And then I listen to motivation. Every single morning I get up and listen to motivation. And that really has been the biggest step, is just me realizing that, as Lisa Nichols, we were talking earlier about Lisa Nichols, and she said, I am my rescue. So realizing that no one is going to rescue me but me. And the only person that is stopping me is me. And it just goes along with saying those affirmations. I have this right here. And I think I wrote this in 2017. I just put, it was August 9th, 3:15 in the morning. And so I'm writing these, and I had to tape it because I was reading it every day. You could see I love myself.
Yes.
I am worthy of the best that life has to offer. So reading these each and every day, and then following the path of those people who have done it. One of my greatest inspirations is Les Brown. And I listened to his story of how when he wanted to become a DJ, he went back each and every day to that radio station. I mean, if you're familiar with Les Brown, you've heard the story. And so I followed his path, and I was able to meet Les Brown. That was the day. So it was in April of 2019. Every time Les Brown would go live, I was like, I can't wait to meet you and shake your hand. I was telling people all around, I'm going to meet Les Brown and shake his hand. I had a second grade student because I would let them listen to portions of his Georgia Dome speech. I had a second grader to tell me, I'm jealous because you're going to meet Les Brown and shake his hand. So, I was just so adamant about it that it took me 16 unanswered emails all the way from April to the following April before I finally got a call from Les Brown. And even it was steps along the way. I got a call from his daughter in December, and it was looking like I was going to work with Les, but I ended up working with his daughter, Ona, and we finished up that class that started in February, ended in March, and I went right on back. Every time Les went live, I can't wait to meet you and shake your hand. And so he eventually called me. I worked with him one-on-one for a few months, and then I told him my story, and I said, well, I still haven't met you. And this was in the middle of the pandemic, so he was like, wasn't the virtual meeting good enough? And I said, no, that's not good enough. That's just like when you were walking around the station and you didn't have your chance to get on air. So August 2nd, 2020, I flew to Atlanta, and I spent an entire day with Les Brown, the one whose voice resonated with me to get me from being the quiet, soft-spoken, not believing in myself, to saying, yes, I am powerful enough to create my dreams. So,
and those people are people I call dream keepers.
yes.
They're people who hold you accountable, love you through it, speak positivity in your life, and you had the persistence and the grit to say, I'm going to meet my dream keeper.
Yes.
So who are you currently serving as a dream keeper for?
So I have some friends. There is someone, again, we talked about Lisa Nichols. There's someone that I met during the convention in 2019, November 2019. She lives in Italy. She and I, even with the time, we get together on WhatsApp. And one of the things we do is we use that as our gratitude place, because when you sit down and download the things that you are grateful for, it really helps you to cherish the small things. So that's one of the things. If we can't even get on there and talk, we would just do our gratitude in there, hold each other accountable for that. And then we do make it a point that at some point on a Saturday, we'll get on Zoom. And that is one of my main dream keepers right there.
Okay. That's very important. Gratitude. Gratitude is like, they've had studies to show being in gratitude lifts your whole spirit,
Yes.
lifts you up. So you've talked a little bit about how you served adults, but I wanted to tell a little bit about how does Free Your Greatness, what ways can someone obtain your services, and how do you serve children?
So you can obtain my services by typing in KeishaYearby.com, or you can type freeyourgreatness.com or freeyourgreatness.net. And what I do is I only offer one-on-one services because I believe that everyone wants the time where they can shine. And so I don't come with the approaches with my tutoring services, which I do in person and online. I don't come with the approach, all right, let's go. Today we're going to be working on short vowels. When I get in there, I have a connection. I call my babies great ones. Each great one child I meet with, he brings in his different Beyblades, and he goes through the first 5 to 10 minutes showing me how to operate the Beyblades. I have another student who likes to create. He's going to either bring something, some type of Lego creation that he's made, or have his parents to have a picture. It's just all about making those connections of what is it that you like. And those first 5 or 10 minutes is about me just engaging, edifying you, learning from you. Children want a chance to be able to teach. And so I teach them, you are never too young to teach. And I'll point to myself and say, you're never too old to learn. So giving them that power of, okay, Miss Keisha or Miss Yearby, I let them choose what they want to call me, engages with me. She gives me some power. And then learning has to be fun. Kids have something animated in their hands from before they can talk. So I'm an animated person. This personality that you see right here, this is what I give to the kids, or even more. Learning is fun. All right, you've done what you want to do. You need a break. You want to do Just Dance. All right, I'm going to dance with you. Whatever it is that we have to do to keep them engaged and to have them to want to learn. So that's what they get. They get one-on-one instruction. They get passionate instruction. They get me working directly on what is it that you individually need. And I tell the parents, I said, if you give me 6 hours, you are going to see visible results. I'll give you your money back.
So what type of visible results do the parents see? And also you said one great point, that you build them up and you build relationships.
Oh,
Rita
yes.
Pearson, she's a great educator.
Yes,
She has a TED talk about kids don't learn from people they don't like.
like, yes, yes, yes.
And
Everyone
so
needs a hero. I like that.
that's a very important part of it,
Mhm.
piece of it. So what results can parents expect their children to walk away from
Okay.
after experiencing For Your Greatness?
So, one of the things that every kid is going to experience is confidence. You have the children that come in, I can't do it. No, there's no such thing as can't. You can say, not yet. Oh, this is too hard. No, so the very first thing that you're going to start to see is the confidence, because I am not going to put a child at a complete frustration level. I'm going to get them to the level where we say using but confusing. You're using this skill, but you're confusing it a little bit. So we're going to learn it today, and you're successful. Wow, look how smart you are. So that's the first thing that you're going to see, is just the level of confidence and the want to try to read. And then it just depends. I mean, some of the children, I had a couple of families to come to me and they were homeschooling and the children were not reading at all. So now they can go and their children can pull up a Dr. Seuss book and they can read the book. Some other students had gaps where, it just depends on where the child is. Maybe they didn't know the difference between a long vowel and a short vowel, and that was the reason why they were having those issues. Well, now you can understand this is a short vowel. What exactly does that mean? So it's like I keep saying, it's very an individual thing, but there will definitely be, when you come in, I'm going to do an assessment of the reading, of the comprehension, of the spelling. I'm going to show the parents this is where you are. And then I'm going to do another one in a couple of weeks. And I'm going to say, okay, this is where your baby was right here. And your great one is here right now. But then I usually don't even have to do it because the parents start seeing it on their own.
That's awesome. And your services, because they're virtual and in person, you're not limited to where you're at. So
Nope, I'm
people
not.
all over the country, their children can free their greatness.
That can free their greatness. So I opened up my company January 1st, 2020, and I was in person. And of course, COVID knocked me right online, but I took out one Facebook ad, $60. And I started tutoring people right here from Virginia. I'm right here, Virginia Beach. I'm 25 minutes from the ocean front. I had people all the way over to California. I had two families in California that didn't know anybody. I mean, they didn't know each other. And I have some families. There's one family that I have in Northern Virginia. I've never met them. And they started with that Facebook ad. And from there, she's brought other families to me. I've met a couple of other people where we started online, and now we started in person like maybe February or something this year. So I have one session with him online and another. So no, it does not matter where you are. I guarantee that same thing, whether it is virtual or in person, you are going to see those results, because I ask the questions in order to understand how did you get that answer? What? Oh, now I see. And I build the lesson from there.
So parents, if you have kids, because right now we're really dealing with kids, they're saying kids are behind because of COVID. The COVID slide, personally, I'll say it ain't a slide. You can't slide from where you wasn't at. But we're going to call it the COVID climb. So the COVID climb. And if you need help, if you need somebody to do one-on-one tutoring, if you want to see those reading levels go up, Keisha's your person. So I have at the bottom her website, www.freeyourgreatness.com. I want to thank you, Keisha, so much for jumping on. I just jumped in her inbox. This lady agreed to be on here. She's been on national TV. And now she can say, I've been on Living Life on Purpose.
Hey.
Well, thank you so much, Keisha, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's an honor.
Any last words for our audience?
Children are great imitators. So give them something great to imitate. I want you to know that whatever you were doing, whatever you were saying, your babies are watching you, and that is getting in their subconscious. So again, children are great imitators. So give them something great to imitate.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. So here's a little flyer with her information on what she does with her tutoring and mentoring. It's so important that we get the best resources available for our children. Now, next up, I'm really excited because I've started like this little quest to be a prepper. Haven't really just learning. It's a big learning thing. Some of y'all are out there like, what in the world is a prepper? What is that? Well, you know what? You came to the right place. Living life on purpose. You finna find out what it is today. But one thing before we jump into that, Keisha talked about was she manifested her dream with Les Brown. She said, I want to meet him. I want to work one on one with him. And what did she say? 17, 18 unanswered emails didn't stop her. So sometimes we have to go after our dreams and manifest them. And you know, I do these t-shirts. So I have a little t-shirt that I'm just going to show. Um, and it says, manifest your vision. So, guys, you are able to order that shirt that says, man, it's really cute, little dainty. Gonna put me some little jeans on with it and some glasses and be real cute with it. So manifest your dream, and the information on how to order it is it should be in the chat. So right now we're gonna have our next guest. She is a medical professional, and she started this group called Black Preppers, Women Surviving. It's SHTF. I'll have her talk a little bit more about that because we are getting ready. We've always been ready as Black women, but she's educating other women to make sure they're ready. Hello.
Hi, Sandy. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Good, good. Doing well. Doing well.
Thank you so much for joining us. Again, I jumped in her inbox. It's like, people need to know about prepping. And the reason I'm kind of spurred with this, if you're reading in the news, you have crop failure. We had 2,000 cattle to die in Oklahoma. There's just a lot of unusual things going on today. Could you just kind of introduce yourself and your organization, and how did your journey begin?
Yeah. So my name is Tiffany Gilliam, and you're right. There's way too much going on today. And so basically, I've been a prepper for about 15 years, or actually a little over that. It started with me in 2004 when I had my first child. And once you have a baby, you can kind of see the world differently. All of a sudden, you're responsible for this other person who's helpless. So that just kind of started me thinking in different ways and seeing things differently. And then in 2005, when Katrina hit, that really spurred me. I just could not fathom how people could suffer so much here in a first world country in the middle of the United States. How can we not help these people? We have helicopters flying over, taking pictures of people suffering, but yet they can't drop a case of water to help them. So that just completely blew my mind. And just all of that started me down the path of, what if I found myself in a situation like this? What am I doing? How prepared am I? What if I do best in my area? So that just kind of started me down the whole rabbit hole of prepping and just learning more and more about it. And a lot of things began to make sense. So after prepping for a while, I spent some time in Facebook groups, different groups, and a lot of them were majority groups, and there were some comments made and some prejudices that I didn't particularly care for, and they just weren't nurturing or uplifting to me as a Black woman trying to navigate this whole prepping thing. And so I decided to go ahead and just start my own group and my own organization. So that's what I did. And basically, Black Preppers, Women Surviving SHTF, Shit Hits the Fan, is a group. It's just a space for Black women to come together and kind of figure this thing out together. There's no angry comments or some of the typical things you might say. There's nobody who's going to mansplain things to you in the group. So it's just kind of a place to just relax and come together and learn together.
And you have over 5,000 women in the group, correct?
I have over 5,000 women. Very private. We're getting big and we're sticking together. So it's been exciting. Of course, the pandemic helped increase those numbers because everyone suddenly found themselves in an actual SHTF situation. So,
Yes. And I know from personal experience, I've had two experiences. My mother wasn't, she used to say, tell us, you need a terror kit in your house. I'm like, what is a terror kit? Case is a terror
uh-huh.
cat. So I was always taught to have like canned goods and candles and flashlights and just water or just basic things in case of an emergency. Something happens. And I've had two in my life. Back in
Exactly.
2003, a lot of people don't really remember Michigan. I was living in Michigan at the time. We had a complete blackout. To this
Uh-huh.
day, they've given excuses, but they don't make any sense. But
Right,
we had no
right.
power for 3 days. And it's so
Hmm.
much you don't think about that depend on power. So could you tell the
Yeah.
audience a little bit about some basic things they would need to have in their house to just get them started?
Right, right. Yeah. So like you, I've been through some power outages. I'm in the South, so we normally have winter storms. So we have a lot of
Mhm.
ice that could take out the power for 3 days. It could take out for a couple of weeks sometimes, just depending. And it's everyone has experienced these rolling grid kind of incidents where they're losing power. Texas had that big storm the other year. So
Mhm.
the things you need to do to get started. What I advise and what I teach people is to first of all see where you are. So do a self risk assessment. So just take a look at what your needs are. Like you said, imagine if the power were to go out for 3 days or a week or a couple of weeks. What would you need to survive? What would your family need? So if you're someone, say, with special medical conditions, maybe you have a CPAP, or maybe like my child, when he was young, he was on a nebulizer. So you would need a way to power those things to keep going, right? If you're a diabetic, you need extra medication in case you can't get to the pharmacy to get your medication. Sticking with more basics, everybody needs, we go by the rule of threes with preppers. So the typical human can survive 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 hours without shelter in hazardous conditions. So you need food. So make sure you have some extra food, not stuff that needs to be refrigerated. If the power goes out, we have a joke here in the South. People go and buy up all the milk and eggs and bread and cereal, right? If your power goes out, what are you going to do with that milk and eggs?
Mhm.
Watch it spoil. So buy non-perishable food. They'll be okay if left out at room temperature. Just keep a couple extra things around. It doesn't have to be a big production. When you go to a grocery store, you're buying a can of soup, get another can or two and just put those aside just in case something happens. So you need food, you need water. If the water's not working, if the power's out, if the water stops running, how are you going to get water? Keep a couple cases of bottled water around. There's also these things, if you have advanced warning, you can get a water bottle from Amazon. They run about 30, $40, and it's actually a plastic bladder that you put inside your bathtub. You can fill that with water. So you can have extra water that way. But just start to think about these things. What would you need? So food, water. If you have to evacuate your house, maybe there's a gas leak, if something's going on, maybe if there's flooding, what would you need to take with you? I advise everybody, I'm a camper, so I advise everyone to have a tent on hand, and
Yeah.
that's always an easy shelter. It's easy to just pitch a tent wherever you are, and that's the shelter. You don't have to worry about that part of it. So those are the types of things that you need to get started. Um, I also recommend that people look around your house to see what you already have. Don't go buy a bunch of stuff first. Look and see what you have. Pretty much everybody has extra flashlights,
Mhm.
batteries, things like that. So just kind of see what you have first and then go from there to see where you need to fill in the gaps.
Okay. Well, that's a good way to get started. Thank you for sharing that. And I've heard about this bug out bag. You have a bug
Uh-huh.
out bag?
I do. I
Tell us
do.
a little bit about the bug out
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah, so a bug out bag, there are a lot of different bags. I tend to be more of a lumper instead of a splitter. There can be like 20 different bags. You can name an inch bag, a bug out bag. I just call it a go bag.
Okay.
And it's a bag of essentials that I would need. Say if I had 20 minutes morning to leave the house or 10 minutes, then I could just grab my bag and go. So what do I have in that bag? So I have things like extra clothing. So if it's winter time, you'll need to have extra winter clothes. If you change it out, if it's summertime, weather appropriate clothes. So I have extra clothing. I have extra food, a way to cook the food. So a portable stove, things like that, matches, lights. I have a tent in there. So yeah, just things that you wouldn't need, say if you had to evacuate your house and you couldn't come back for like a few days or a week. What would you need to just kind of be on the road away from home, assuming you weren't able to go to a hotel or a friend's house or something like that. So those are the types of things that we'll need.
That's really good information to have. I got to get my
Yeah.
bug out bag
And
together.
don't forget your kids too. Pack one for your kids as well. Yeah.
Because I live in Texas, so I was here during
Uh-huh.
that ice storm. And
Okay.
it
Okay.
was like
Yeah.
we've lost so many survival skills. People was
Mm-hmm.
like, my food went bad. I said, how is below zero outside?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could just put your food out in your
Yeah.
trunk. And in
Yeah.
the worst case scenario, it's gonna freeze. Um,
Yeah. And we're so comfortable with all the conveniences. We don't even think of like the common things that people used to do every day. So we need to definitely get back to that.
because I was just talking to my cousins and they're from Memphis or Ripley, Tennessee, which is a
Mhm.
small little town outside of Memphis. And they were talking about how their parents gardened and they said we ate organic vegetables growing up because that's what was in the garden.
Right. And they were
Do you
better
do any
for it. Yeah.
gardening?
I do. I do. Trying with this heat to keep the garden alive. But yeah, and that's one thing as far as just being prepared. The more you can be self-reliant, we have all these issues that have been coming up, like we talked about before, supply chain issues. Every other day there's another virus variant, or there's this, or there's that, or you can't get the things that you're used to being able to get quickly. So the more you can become self-reliant, the better. And one way to do that definitely is by planting a garden. Even if you can get food, the way inflation has been going and the food
Mhm.
prices, how much food can you afford compared to this time last year? I mean, it's
Yes.
crazy. So one way to combat that, of course, just start growing anything. You can grow lettuce, you can grow in pots, you can grow in bags, you can grow in cardboard boxes if you don't have, a big yard. There's all types of ways to work a garden. You can do a little patio garden if you're in an apartment.
Mhm.
You can grow indoors. You can get into hydroponics where you don't even need necessarily sunlight. So there's so many different ways, but just grow something. Just grow something.
Because my sister has started hydroponics and she got
Hmm.
collard greens in her bedroom.
Oh, good. Good for
She's
her. Good
growing
for
them.
her. That's wonderful.
So she's
Yeah.
experimenting because she wants to start getting back to some of the things that are the generations before us. Because we were talking to my
Yeah.
cousin was like, my daddy just made this stuff called daddy slaw. And when she
Uh
talked about the
huh.
ingredients, she said it was really pico de manio,
Uh huh.
pico. And
Okay.
everything was fresh from the garden. I said, if you went to the store to buy everything that your dad put in the stuff from in the garden, you're going to spend about $25. When
Right.
he just
Right.
went out there and picked his peppers and tomatoes and
Right.
it saves money and learn how
And
to
it
can and different things like that. So you're
saves money and it's healthier for you. Yeah.
yeah. So what are you doing to kind of overcome this heat with the garden? Just watering more?
Just watering. I haven't really gotten to shading. I've seen some people will do like the sailcloths and kind of shade their garden, but mostly for me, just where I'm growing now, just watering. And some I do a lot of things in pots. So some of the pots, I'll just move them to a shady area.
Okay.
I actually like growing in pots because they're more portable then. So like if
Mm,
I have to go, I could take some of that stuff with me, if I have
yes.
time. So a
I
lot of
have
that is just watering and moving it around.
I have a few things in pots. My sister, when we first planted them, she took them. She didn't trust me. I said, "You are plant protective services." So once they
Uh,
blossom from the seed, I now have them. And
uh,
two of them I had 2 days and they're already gone. I don't know.
oh no. Yeah.
She said, I told you to take them outside, and I didn't take them outside. I kept them in the house, and I took them outside. She said, you shocked them. They're gone.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm working on it. I'm learning how to garden. And
Yeah.
your group has a wealth of information, things I wouldn't even think about. I just be in there for hours, like just learning stuff. Could
There's
you
so
tell the
many
audience how
fantastic women. Hmm. Go
I
ahead.
can put the link to the group? And it's for
Okay.
ladies. It's for ladies only, writers. It's for ladies
It's
only.
it's for ladies only. Yeah.
Yeah, because we need our own space.
We need our own space. There's so many male dominated spaces. We definitely need our own.
So I'm going to put the link in there.
But yeah, there are so many amazing women doing fantastic things that I couldn't even hope to do. There's a wealth of information, any aspect of prepping, whether it be gardening. We even have some, self-defense, anything, fitness, you name it. We have medical people, myself and others included. So it's really a wealth, and I love the diversity of information as well.
It is. It's really a lot of information, and it's good
Mhm,
information. Like I said, I
mhm.
get caught in there and I'm just reading for hours. And I want to
Yeah.
thank you so much. Do you have any last words or anything else that you would want to share with our audience?
Yeah, I would just say, as far as the group, join us if you can. If you're a Black woman, you're thinking about prepping, you're unsure about where the world is going these days, as most of us are, just pop in and see if something resonates with you, and I think it will. Also, to let you know, I do teach a course if you want to kind of not have to read a million things like I had to do and just jump start your prepping. I also teach a course on jumpstarting your prepping. Get started quickly, tell you exactly what you need to do, how to move, tailor it to you. So you can find me in the group. You can find me at WSSHTF, Women Surviving Shit Hitting the Fan, WSSHTF at gmail.com. And I just want to tell everybody, stay hopeful and stay prepped. You can do it.
Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll be
Okay,
sure in the
thank you.
chat to put your email address on how to contact you. How often do you have your classes?
Well, it's usually about once a month, but I have it more or less often depending on the need. But yeah, about once a month.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll be sure to put that information in there. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
We've had two great guests today, but I just want to share with you today is Global Forgiveness Day. Global Forgiveness Day. Forgiveness is so important because when you are not walking in forgiveness, you're holding a lot of stuff inside. You have energy going to areas that it shouldn't be going to. Like if you see a person, you become very angry, they're kind of in control. So today has been set aside as a day to forgive those who have offended you, to go seek forgiveness for those who have offended you, and or to apologize to those who you have offended. So global forgiveness day. And sometimes the person you need to forgive is yourself. So, and as I was thinking about self forgiveness, I started thinking about forgiveness is really an act of self love. Because when I love myself enough not to harbor resentment, not to let someone else be in control of me. If I see them and I'm mad and I'm upset. And I had a real lesson this week in forgiveness. Because one thing about forgiveness is like taking steps. It's a continual process. It's not a one and done. Because you could be at a good place and somebody do something to you, and then you could find yourself needing to re-forgive. But how many times have Jesus had to forgive us? A whole bunch. So today, reach out. If that person is not let's just say it's a person that don't think they wronged you, you can forgive that person without them asking for closure. It's the difference between forgiveness and closure. Closure is like I can sit down with you as a mature person and you can own what you've done to me, and then we could discuss it and you can apologize. That's closure. Forgiveness is, even if you never apologize to me, I have the power to release any ill feelings I have towards you. So take back your power and forgive, because it's truly an act of self-worth. And it kind of inspired a t-shirt. I said, Global Forgiveness Day. And the t-shirt says, forgiveness is an act of self-love. It's an act of self-love. So it's in there. If you anybody want to order that t-shirt, it's $24.95 too. So we're going to be wearing our vision, wearing what it is God has given us, our healing. We're going to wear it. We're going to announce it to the world. So forgiveness is an act of self-love. It's showing that you love yourself enough to be in control, to not have anything distract you from your purpose. And that's really all I have for today, you guys. I'm really excited about our guests. We've learned how to free our greatness. We learned a little bit about prepping, how we can get us a class to learn how to begin to be a prep. And I've had some people, I'm all over the place. Some people say, well, what about faith? Is prepping faith or fear? Well, you know what? Moses was the original prepper. God gave him something, told him something, and he was prepping. He built the ark. He made sure. So the Bible tells us to watch and pray, not just pray, but watch and pray. And as we're watching, we're having unusual occurrences. So it won't harm you to have some extra non-perishables, an extra can of soup, some things in case the grid go down, in case we have another power storm, you're not stuck at a loss with your basic needs. So you guys continue to live life on purpose. Have an awesome day. That's all I have for today. Thank you.